the focus was always go-go music. It wasn't rap. It was actually uncool to rap at a certain point.
Really?
Yeah, if you were trying to be a rapper, it wasn't cool.
Why?
Because go-go was cool.
Wow.
That's what it was. It just was, that's what it was.
But y'all are aware, while you're saying that internally, you're aware hip-hop is the shit, and everyone's listening to hip-hop.
I think it goes back to that conversation of feeling. Not everybody thinks that deep. They just move with what they feel. And people were feeling go-go. So it wasn't about, oh, rap is big. I was like, this is what we feeling. Like, we like this. We like going to the go-go's. We like seeing BYB. We like seeing TOB. We like seeing TCB. You know what I mean? That's what it was. So I think it wasn't so much thought about what was bigger or not.
This whole journey to where you are now starts when you're in prison.
Yeah.
Right? I want to hear that whole story because you mapped this out.
Yeah.
Right? Learned how to rhyme and map this out. Like, explain to me what happened.
Yeah, I was actually, I went to prison when I was 17 the first time.
Juvenile?
Yeah.
For what?
Armed robbery with deadly weapon. But they actually put me in adult prison because in Maryland, when you're that age and you have what they call a violent charge, they put you straight to adult prison. So
you're an adult at 17?
Yeah.
How long was the first bid?
The first one was only like 4 months.
Oh, okay.
4 months. And then I got out and I was gone. I didn't go in for a while, but then I got violated, not paying home detention, stuff like that. And then,
so you didn't do anything else?
No.
But you
went back.
You violated your parole.
Yeah, I've been to prison and jail 4 times for the same thing, not getting in trouble again.
Not anew, right? The same, right? That's how they do it.
How they get you, right?
That same first keeps pushing you back.
Yeah. So then that's that last time when they sent me to they call it up the road, but when they sent me to state prison from jail, is when I started doing music. I actually would memorize the beats from the songs that were on the radio.
Okay.
And then I would practice rapping over them. But the thing about that is I literally prior to that, I did stuff with go-go music, which is local music in the DC area, stuff like that, but I never really did music. So I was a tutor and a barber in jail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so everybody
What's a tutor?
Help people get their GEDs.
Learn to read and stuff?
Yeah, well, more so a little more advanced than that, just whatever it would take, algebra, things like that, to basically get your GED.
Because you're smart.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say, you know.
I mean, you can feel, I'm one of the smarter people here, so let me help you out.
Well, they gave me the pre-GED test, and I think I only got 1 or 2 questions wrong.
Okay.
So then it was just something to do. You know, you get paid $1 a day or something.
So wait, when you start saying, okay, this is how I'm gonna get out of my situation, be a rapper, right? Is that the conversation? Is that happening on the bus, or is that while you're in the prison of this is how I'm gonna elevate?
Prison, it just was a natural thing that drew me to it. I would remember the beats and let me just try something. I'm inspired to write, and that's what kind of sparked it. But the inmates told me I was good, so I was like, all right, let me try this when I get out.
So that gave you the confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
But what was the plan? You made a plan there. What was the plan?
Yeah, I literally wrote it down in my book. I still have the book to this day.
Wow.
I just saw it recently, actually. I wrote all the stuff I was going to do, all the brands, because I was reading the GQ magazines. So I was all the brands that I wanted to wear that nobody's really wearing, things like that. I wrote it all down, and I said, when I get out, I'm going to go for it.
Wait, what was the plan?
The plan was to make a mixtape.
Okay.
It's really simple.
Okay.
But I came with my name, IDK, all of that in prison. But the plan was just to do a mixtape and go back to school and just become a local rapper. But I ended up just focusing on making music and never registering for classes, and then
never went to school.
Yeah.
Wow. So wait, so your rhyming starts with you listening to Kendrick and Cole,
yeah,
right? Like, who else are some of the important influences?
Well, there's a few people, obviously, early in my life, like people like Wale, obviously, like people like Kanye West and stuff. I got into Jay-Z a little later. I like Watch the Throne.
Okay,
but I was actually talking to J. Cole about this the other day, and I was like, man, you were the reason why. You were what made me realize you can rap really clever and tell stories. So I knew rap was good. I always loved rap, and Wayne was probably my first introduction to like metaphors and like how clever you could get. But then Cole and Kendrick Lamar, I was listening to J. Cole's first album, Cold World, and then Kendrick Lamar's Section 80 prior to me getting locked up. So me listening to those two albums, those were the last impressions of music in my mind until I went to state. Because state prison, they give you a radio, but in jail, you don't have no radio, no nothing. Whatever's on BT or whatever, those, you know, that's all you could watch. So,
shit.
Yeah. I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember being in jail and seeing A$AP Rocky for the first time on 106 in Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That was the first time I ever saw A$AP Rocky.
Are you at all traumatized from having been in and out of prison that whole period in your life?
Never. Like, I actually look at it as a blessing.
Really? How?
I'm happy because not too many people can experience state prison and be young enough, one, to get out and still experience life, real life.
Yeah.
But also, you know, be able to get out.
Yeah.
Most people there have 20 years, 30 years. I had a unique situation where I got sentenced to 15 years, it got suspended to 3 years, and I violated home detention after 2 years. So I only had to do 1 year and paroled out in 7 months, where it made it kind of like, if it was anything less than 18 months, I would have had to do that in jail. So that's everybody who has 18 months or less or still fighting a charge. But because I did it in state prison, I mean, because I had 3 years total, even though I only had a year left, they still made me go to do it for the state.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So F65 is the new album. Yeah. It's interesting. It's extremely musical, right? There's a lot of brightness to it. We get the lyrics and the flows and the hip hop of it, but it's very bright.
Yeah. Yes, it's supposed to be a conversation about, like, you know, what it feels like to be a person of color, specifically a black person around the world. But the conversation is supposed to feel good. I feel like, you know, over time we've been so angry, with good reason, about our history and our past that it's been hard to have that conversation without emotion or anger. So I just felt like maybe through music I can kind of mute some of the anger, even if I'm saying things that obviously are angry or upset. The feeling of the music could like give it that juxtaposition that would deliver the message a lot better.
You give me some of the vibe of A Tribe Called Quest, Far Side, and even like Roy Ayers and 70s soul music. Is that what you were thinking about?
Yeah. I was speaking to Ali Shaheed 4 days ago, and I was telling him, like, when I put this album together, I wanted it to feel like a modern day version of what Tribe would do. You know, obviously the feeling of the upright bass and all of the jazz elements, but then change the drums to be a little bit more current. So, he supported that heavily.
Do you play any instruments?
I like on this album, I played bass a little bit, like stuff like that. I'm more like piano and bass. Not really bass. Like this was literally my first time playing the bass.
Oh wow!
On the song Telecolor, I played it as a very simple riff, but I did that, and then I played a lot of piano stuff. I'm not great at piano, but I can hold it down.
But so where you're getting your music for this record, are you going to producers and saying, "Give me something that sounds like this"? Or are you working with people to create from the ground up?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both, but I never really like to ask producers like to give me something. Like producers always ask me, "What's your vibe? What are you looking for?" I'm like, "I'm looking for your vibe." And you just send me a bunch of things, and then I find what I like, and I might strip the drums and take this out or edit it or whatever. Sometimes I start from scratch. A lot of times I dream about beats, and then I wake up and immediately record it on my phone, and then I go and recreate it in the studio.
You dream about beats?
Yeah, yeah. And songs and melodies and hooks, like a lot of times.
Like, what's that like?
It's something that I realized, like, when it comes to making music, you kind of have to really, like, tap into, I always say, that thing, whatever that thing is, and let that guide you through creating it. And when it comes to me in a dream, it means I have to make it. Yeah. It doesn't happen every day, you know. It's like, I'll say the dream thing happens once every 3 months, maybe.
Okay.
Where I come up with an idea in my dreams. So I have to record it.
But you're kind of thinking in music all the time?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it depends. I have an on and off switch. When I'm creative, I'm creative. When it's time to kind of handle business and stuff like that, I kind of switch it.
Interesting. How do you write?
I usually write. I mean, the technical writing, I don't really write.
Right. You
just kind of get on the mic and then it comes out.
But do you know what you're going to say before you say it, or not really?
Kind of, to an extent, but not really. No, I say it and then I listen to it, and if I like it, I keep it, and then I say another line, and I say another line, and then next thing you know, it's this whole story. Yeah.
So you go into the studio not knowing what you're gonna say.
More now than ever. When Wayne said, "I don't write shit because I ain't got time," I really feel that more and more now, because I really just don't have time to sit down and write a whole song. I just go on the mic and I like, if it's like, yo, let's do a song today, it's no problem. It's like, cool. It's just put the mic in front of me, put the beat on it, and it just happens.
How long would that take?
Take me 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
I would be scared to have a beat and not know what I'm going to say, right? And like figuring it out in the minute. I'd be like, I need some time, because you're not just spitting.
Yeah.
You're making points. You have a thesis. You're like, these are like, lyricist lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's amazing you can get to that without preparing before the moment.
Yeah, it took time.
To get to that level.
I've done my 10,000 hours like 3 times already. Yeah.
What does that mean? Like just sitting there writing at home all the time?
Yeah, it started out writing, a lot of writing. And then it became like, all right, let me just get on a mic and see what happens. And that was okay, but then it got better and better and better. Then I realized if I just let it go and don't overthink and tap into that thing that I spoke of earlier, it just always does the job for me. It always has to come from the heart, though.
Of course, of course. But you're known for your lyrics. Does that not make you feel pressure each time you start to do a new song? Because you have a name, you have a reputation. You got to keep meeting or beating that standard.
Nah, I don't create art with pressure. I think the only pressure is, how can I get the world to hear this message or whatever I have to speak of? But I don't create with pressure. That if there is pressure, I won't create.
So wait, one of the things that I like about you and about MCing in general is flow, right?
Yeah.
And a great MC is like in the mix. But when you're writing in the moment, how are you do you kind of find the flow first and then put in the words to that? Like, how does that?
Maybe that could be what it is, but it's so little thought to it. It's more feeling. I think I get the best flows when I don't think about it. The more I don't think about it, the more I just go mindless. Because it's like, I make hundreds of songs. So it's like, you kind of got to realize, like, it's okay to try something. It doesn't have to be perfect every time, So I just kind of do that, and then the flow kind of comes.
That's deep. That's deep. So you're talking partly about Black manhood, right? And what it is to be Black. What is the story? What is the thesis that you are making about that?
It's a very general conversation with a white person or a group of white people and basically saying, hey, this is my life. This is me as a black man. This is the story of this kind of black man. This is my particular story. This is my love life. This is how hard it is for me at times, how maybe easy it is for me at times. This is why I think the way that I think. This is where I come from. I'm just painting a picture of a world that is created to incite conversation. I just really want people to have a conversation.
I love that there's a whole thesis and concept, because a lot of times we make songs, and there's a kind of a relationship between them, but not really, you know. But for to me, for an album, it all is a cohesive point sonically and thematically. It makes a point. I appreciate that. But when the white people you envision yourself talking to, because nowadays, right, that's complicated, right? There's some white people who are allies or call themselves allies and want to have a conversation and truly understand what you're going through, right? And respect, I don't know. Right. And then there's white people who are like, racism doesn't exist. Slavery was a long time ago. Stop whining and crying. And you're like, I want to smack you. Right. I cannot talk to you, right? There's no, you refuse. I saw this phrase the other day, I think it was feigned ignorance. They don't want, as many times as it's been explained, they don't want to understand. So what sort of white person are you envisioning yourself in this conversation with?
Well, IDK, my name IDK stands for ignorantly delivering knowledge. So it's kind of like whatever person feels the connection to the music and is willing to give the time to listen to it. That's really who it's for. It's not out of anger. It's not try to forcefully get anybody to understand anything. It's for you to not even realize you're understanding something until you understand it. I first want everybody to enjoy the music. That's really all I care about first. And I want through enjoying the music. It's kind of like how I feel about Lauryn Hill, Miseducation. As a kid, I had no idea what the album was about. I just loved the music. Right. And I always continued to love the music until recently, when I kind of started to understand what she was trying to say and the message she was trying to deliver and where her heart was in creating it. So
and that made the album deeper for you.
Exactly. But first and foremost is, does it feel good? Do I like it?
Yeah.
And that's important. I understand rappers that try to quote unquote preach or try to give you a message, sometimes a harsh one. But I think music should always be enjoyable, or it should be an outlet first. That's why lyricism is not as important to me as people may think.
What do you mean it's not that important to you?
Lyricism is not that important to me because you could have the greatest lyrics in the world and no one feels you.
Sure.
You know, it's feeling first. And if I could feel the music, then I like it. The kind of music I listen to, a lot of people would not expect, maybe because of, I don't know, how cerebral I am and how much I think about things. But I like the music that feels the most mindless almost, because I can feel that person. I can tell that person doesn't care about what you think. They're just saying what they feel.
Like, who are you referring to?
I love Kodak Black. That's one of my favorite rappers. And he just kind of you know, obviously he thinks about things, he says too, and he has stories, and he's really good at that. But also you could tell that it's a feeling first. And who he is who he says he is in his music, is who he is in the media and everything else. So
I mean, I think there's with lyricism, a real lyricist, the beginning of it is gonna probably hit you in the head as you're like, oh wow, he rhymed that and that. He's doing this, he said this, he made this point about the global industrial complex or the white man or whatever, oh shit. And then as he goes through it, then he starts saying some shit that hit you here about, oh, because I didn't have my dad, blah, 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 and you're like, whoa, my mom, whatever. And then you're starting to feel it in the heart, right? And they're gonna start to grab you down there. And if they're not able to really touch you in both places, it's not really all the way there.
Yeah, yeah. And for me, I think about people like growing up right now and people back in like Southeast DC or PG County, Maryland, like those are the people who I look at as the next generation, especially of Black people that are going to bring change and probably need it the most. And I understand what they feel and what they listen to. And quite frankly, it's not necessarily what we deem as great hip hop or rap. It's just who's speaking of a lifestyle they either live or want to live, and I pay attention to that. You know.
So wait, I want to go back for a second. You talked about the messages that we get from hip hop. I think there is a message in almost every rap song, and the message usually is, "I'm the shit."
Yeah.
Right? Either because I rhyme good, because I got girls, because I got money, because I'm down with, Rockefeller, whatever it is, right? You're ultimately saying and you might be making a point about, mass incarceration or what it's like in the Bronx or whatever, when a girl hurts your feelings, whatever. But like ultimately, most rap songs are about I'm the shit.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But to be
and there's nothing wrong with that. That's dope. I mean, for a group of people who have been, oppressed for 400 or 500 years, whatever, like to have a bunch of men to be like, I'm the shit. Like, we need to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. I think to change the people, you have to be of the people. And being of the people sometimes requires being a part of what influences them. And I personally, at 17, 16, when I was getting in trouble, I wouldn't have been listening to the positive role model. That's not what would have spoke to me. It would have been the people that I deemed as cool. So for me, it's like if I'm listening to somebody that's cool, but then they do something like, oh yeah, but I went to Harvard too. And it's like, oh wait, going to Harvard is cool. Maybe I want to do that. I want to be like that. And I think it's like parents. It's like I think the parents who have the most influence over their children aren't the ones that are the most strict, the most angry or yelling, or the ones that are feared, or even it's the ones that they believe are cool. Like it's like
the kids think the parents cool.
Yeah, like if you have
kids?
No, I don't know kids, no. But I feel like it's like
kids don't think their parents are cool.
Most of the time. There's some that do, though. There's a few. And especially if other kids, like in school, are like, yo, your parents are so, look how he dresses, how, stuff like that.
I mean, they may respect their parents, right? But they're definitely like, y'all.
And when I say cool, I mean just a role model that they look up to.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Like, and I think, like, again, like when we go back to like the hood and like how a lot of people think, it's like they see like Kodak Black and they see themselves or their future self in him. You could even say that about like the drug dealers and stuff like that, where everyone always talks about that story of the drug dealers have the nice cars and all the girls and everyone wants to be like them. It's like being somebody that people want to be like, That's why partnerships with like Nike and stuff like that are so important to me, because I'm taking the stuff that I know I would have wanted and using it as a canvas to tell an important story and paint an important story.
So, okay, wait. PG County, where are you from?
PG County, Maryland.
Where?
It's like called Glendale, so it's in between Bowie, Lanham, and Glen Arden, Maryland.
So you're part of DC culture.
Yeah.
You hung out in DC.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about DC and hip hop, because every other major American city where there's a lot of Black people has had a major rap scene over decades and had a major influence. Yeah. Except for DC.
Yeah.
And I've tried to talk about this with DC people. They get a little defensive on it, but they all say, well, it's because of Gogo. And I'm like, yo, we are 50 years into the hip hop movement. And I know there's a lot of cool people in DC. And I'm like, really? Not that many people wanted to go into hip hop from like I don't understand. Help me understand what's going on.
Well, I think that Gogo does have a lot to do with that. Anyone who's arguing with you on that is probably just in denial, because I just had this conversation recently I made a joke and I was like, man, until our basketball and football team like really starts killing it, we're never gonna have a hip hop scene. but no, it's just really
but it's really like where there's a drug scene, a rap scene pops off. Really? And y'all got a crazy, or at least you had in the Rayful and all that, you had a crazy drug scene.
Yeah, but I think that the focus was always go-go music. It wasn't rap. It was actually uncool to rap at a certain point.
Really?
Yeah, if you were trying to be a rapper, it wasn't cool.
Why?
Because go-go was cool.
Wow.
That's what it was. It just was, that's what it was.
But y'all are aware, while you're saying that internally, you're aware hip-hop is the shit and everyone's listening to hip-hop.
I think it goes back to that conversation of feeling. Not everybody thinks that deep. They just move with what they feel. And people were feeling go-go. So it wasn't about, oh, rap is big. I was like, this is what we feeling. Like, we like this. We like going to the go-go's. We like seeing BYB. We like seeing TOB. We like seeing TCB. You know what I mean? That's what it was. So I think it wasn't so much thought about what was bigger or not.
Right.
And also the ability to dream is important too, because even if it wasn't the biggest thing, we probably believed it would be.
Go-go.
Yeah, yeah.
But the ability to dream, you're saying a lot of people don't have that vision.
We have it. That's what I'm saying. We probably loved it so much that we're like, oh, they'll catch up to us.
Oh, you thought go-go will be.
Yeah, and it could have, but it just was really violent. And a lot of things came out of the go-go scene, so they shut down a lot of it.
Wait, what happened that shut down the go-go scene?
A lot of the clubs attracted people who would beef with other people and, you know, fight and have killings and all kinds of things. So they started to shut down the go-go scene. They've even been trying to do it now still.
They're trying to shut it down now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that going on for sure.
So is there a go-go influence in your music?
Yeah, always. I do, like, there's a lot of stuff like the song A50, the co-chorus, that's like something that would be on a go-go song. We on top, we on top. Yeah, very repetitive, you know. It has a bounce to it. You know?
Interesting. So wait, you're wearing shoes that you made with Nike.
Yeah.
That is crazy to me. And you've made 5 shoes with them now?
This would be, well, I've done a few other ideas, but this would be I did 5 Air Maxes with them.
Wait, what is the process of doing an Air Max with Nike like?
It's like, you know, them letting you know what product they really want to focus on, and then you going back and forth trying to figure out, well, I want to do an Air Force One, but maybe this one is what they're focused on. And you say, okay, how can I make this me? And you do it like that. Me, the way my process is what story do I want to tell? And then I research that story, and then I live in that story, and then I take elements of that story and I put it together in the form of design. And the story that this tells is, you know, this shoe, when you look at it, you wouldn't know this, but it says transatlantic slavery all over it.
Where?
Well, it doesn't literally say it, but
but show them the shoe so they can.
Oh yeah. So basically, the green, lime green, is what happens when you take the yellow from the Ghanaian flag and the blue from the Sierra Leonean flag. You put them together, you get lime green. Basically, the entire shoe is made out of the Sierra Leonean and Ghanaian flag put together. Sierra Leone was where a lot of slaves were freed in Freetown. Ghana is where a lot of slaves came from Cape Coast to Georgetown, and just America in general. So, you know, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't know about the Middle Passage. You know, this sneaker is basically taking the concept of what the Middle Passage was.
Wait, what is the black, and how does the black and white relate to the Middle Passage?
Well, the black and white specifically is because I had a race suit.
You had a what?
Racing suit.
Okay.
Because F65 is basically telling the story of race, color of skin through motorsport race.
Okay.
So basically, I had a racing suit. I had the whole F1 concept. So the checkered black and white is from the checkered flag, a racing flag.
Okay.
So it's race. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Race.
Yeah.
Race.
Yeah.
That's what that is about. And then the colors come from the two flags.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Thinking a lot.
Yeah.
You're pulling together a lot of different strands.
Yeah, but the great thing about my art and what I want to make clear is it's not about all those things. That's for you to ask questions like you did. It's like, why is it this color? Then you get an answer. Not, hey, everyone should understand this shoe when they see it. Hey, everyone should understand this music when they hear it. I don't operate like that.
No, I appreciate that because there's definitely a lot of art in many fields where the artist puts it out and you couldn't decipher it all on your own. And you got to interrogate it and look at the interviews and go to the blogs to figure out, like, what was he saying there? What was she saying there? Oh, okay, this relates to this and that.
Yeah, the most important part is not that. The most important part is, do you like it? And if you like it, do you love it? And then do you love it enough to learn about it? And then when you learn about it, you understand it. If I sit there and tell everybody all of this stuff all day long, if they don't care, they don't care.
Right.
But if you take the time to ask, you're more likely to be receptive to it.
But if I like the song, the sneaker, the movie, whatever it is, and then there's this whole other story to follow and see, oh, he put that because of this and that. And now I'm even more energized because, like, oh, wow, like there's this whole story of discovery that I was able to untangle. And I originally liked the song, the shirt, the whatever.
Right. And that's literally how my art is.
So wait, who's your top 5 MCs all time?
That changes all the time. Number one, it's kind of easy for me. It's Lauryn Hill.
Okay, Lauryn Hill, number 1 all time.
Yeah. Yep, even with one album.
Right.
That's probably a big reason why. It's like you could do one album and have this much impact. It's
well,
crazy.
The score is a huge impact on her reputation as well.
Well, yeah, that too, of course.
Right. It's a group record.
So I guess you can give her credit for that for sure, of course. Yes. Yeah.
So wow. Okay, Lauryn, number 1. What else you got?
As a group, Tribe Called Quest.
Yes. Wait. Who's better in a Tribe Called Quest?
I think it's just a collective, man. I think as a whole, Tribe is important because I don't know that I listen to anyone's solo albums too much.
Okay.
No disrespect, but I think like Midnight Marauder is one of my all-time favorite albums.
You like Midnight Marauders or Low End Theory better?
I like Midnight Marauders better. I understand why people say Low. It's like kind of like Off the Wall and Thriller. Like Thriller is a better album technically for sure. But a lot of people will say Off the Wall because maybe they have songs that they connect with, or maybe it was their first time. I mean, it was his first album, you know?
Right.
Solo.
It was his first solo album, right? Well, you know, I disagree with the Michael Jackson thing because Off the Wall is an album. Like we talked about, it is a cohesive sonic document. There is a point that he's making in terms of the sound, in terms of what he's saying in the songs. Thriller functions more like a greatest hits album in that, like, the production level probably more expensive. Yeah. But it's the songs don't relate to each other. It doesn't make a point the way Off the Wall is like, this is the zenith of disco.
I understand that part, but I think that like the credit that I have to give Thriller is the songwriting, like the quality per song was definitely a lot different from the mixes, the sonics, songwriting, arrangement, all of those things. I know that as a lot of people say, when you have an album, it kind of has to tell this story and all of these things. And I think if that's what you're looking for in art, yes, for sure. But when I listen to it, technically, it is a better album to me in the sense of, quality-wise, everything is just, in my opinion, better. Yeah. I think it's like him, Michael Jackson, taking what he was and just enhancing it. And then I think there's another part to this that a lot of people don't give credit to when it comes to an album. It's kind of like Michael Jordan. It's like when you compare him to another basketball player and people say that, I say, Michael Jordan or his stats. Like when it came to Michael Jackson, I think that's the album that created the icon, you know, that we know as Michael Jackson. I think so. I think so.
I mean, Thriller, you know, it makes him this global household ridiculous name, but he was a superstar from what, age 12?
Nah, that moonwalk, man, you can't even like play around with that.
The moonwalk elevated him further, but the reason why everybody in America, I mean, I saw that when it happened with my mom and my sister. I remember sitting in the living room and like, holy shit, did you see what he just did? That was amazing. He was like, we all came to that show waiting for that moment because he was already this gigantic superstar.
Right. I say I gotta argue with you on that one because I think Michael Jackson pre-moonwalk was like Michael Jordan pre-dunk. It was like the dunk is what made that shoe, that brand, that iconic Michael Jordan moment.
Wait, the moment for the Air Jordan was when they banned it.
I mean,
because it wasn't the right colors.
Okay.
And when they banned it, then everyone's like, "Oh, we got to buy the sneaker."
Right. But that's what I'm just saying is Michael Jordan as a whole, just, you know, that was definitely a great moment. But Michael Jordan as a whole, I think, became like an icon around the same time that logo was created. So that was about the Jordan 3s. When that moonwalk happened, that was when this was like, all right, Michael Jackson is no longer a human being, you know? And that's what I mean by that. It's like, this is unreal. This is a pop star. This is an untouchable human being. You get what I'm saying?
So let's loop back to where we started. I like Low End Theory better than Midnight Marauders. And Midnight Marauders is incredible.
Yeah,
right?
Yes.
I feel like Low End Theory is the heart of who they are, right? As jazzy, as bright, as, you know, like, and Midnight Marauders is, you know, it's a little more, let's say, maturation. But to me, Low End Theory hits harder.
You know what? I think this is one of the classic cases of I've been following an artist throughout their career, and I have these memories and ties to this project, and then so even if technically this is maybe better, I'm connected with this one. That's how I feel about Low End Theory, because I started actually with Midnight Marauder, and then I went to Low End Theory, and then I got a chance to consume both of them. And although Low End Theory is amazing, just technically the sharpness of everybody's pen, the cadences, the pockets, the quality of the mixes, all of that just kind of increased. It's like, it's funny because it's like, I love Hiatus Coyote, right? Their Choose Your Weapon album versus the newer one, I go with Choose Your Weapon a lot better because I don't know what it was, but the mixes, everything was a lot more clean than on their newer album. That technically, I think, was their best album.
So wait, Snoop on The Chronic or Snoop on Doggy Style?
I never really got to understand Doggy Style as much, so I'm going to probably, from what I know, oh man, but there's some important songs on Doggy Style, even without consuming that whole album. I still got to go with Chronic, though.
Okay, fine, we agree.
Yeah.
Yo, he roared out the gate with The Chronic. That whole album is incredible. Yeah. You don't even realize that he's only on like a quarter of the album.
Right.
But it seems like his album.
Yeah.
But how'd you get Snoop on your record?
Well, that was actually a bite from an interview he did. But what was funny is when we went to go clear it, he was like, yo, they said, I guess Snoop wants to be credited as a feature on this. I was like, I mean, sure, that's cool. You know what I mean? I'm glad it even got cleared.
So wait, you took a sample and he made it a feature?
Yeah. He actually requested.
So I think the audience that's not in the industry may not realize that you were supposed to give him this, and he said, no, I want
Yeah. But it was cool because usually, you know, people want it the other way around. It's like, oh, I didn't come on here. Like, it's like when I worked with MF Doom the second time, it was pieces of a verse that we put together, and it wasn't really like, all right, because I did this piece, I didn't want to do it as a feature. But then it became a thing of, we would put with MF Doom or whatever the case, whatever we ended up doing. So it's kind of like that. It's like literally, like he could have just said nah. He could have just not cleared it.
Sure.
But he not only cleared it, but he's like, yeah, you know, we'll come in.
But he asked for more.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't change the economics of it or anything.
It didn't.
No.
Oh, I would think that
it's just more like he could. It's more of his stamp of approval.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it didn't change the economics.
So wait, I want to talk about working with Benny Butcher on this album, but Doom was earlier.
Doom, yeah.
And Doom is incredible.
Yeah.
What was it like working with him?
Well, he was overseas in I think it was like Belize or the Bahamas or something like that. You could even hear like the crickets in the background of the recording from outside. Like, yeah, you could tell he was in like a probably kind of rural type of area. But it came through Adult Swim. I was like, hey, I know this is probably impossible and I'm probably tripping, but I was like, I think I could try to get a feature from MF Doom. And he's like, yo, he never does them, but let's try. And about 3 weeks later, I get a message saying Doom wants to know the concept of the song. And then
what is the response to that?
I think I jumped up like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. I was like, I went like, and then they sent the verse 2 weeks later. After that, I couldn't even believe it. I really just couldn't believe it.
I mean, that's got to be a nice validation as an artist that an elite like that knows you, likes you, wants to rock with you.
Yeah, for sure. I've been getting a lot of those lately. Same thing with Jay Electronica. It was like he just and this is fresh off of the album with Hove. He just kind of was like, he was just like, yo, man, I love what you're doing. You have really good taste. I don't like to do features often, but for you, I'll get this done. And it took him like 7 months.
That seems quick for Jay.
In the middle of it, Doom passed, and I remember he DM'd me like, now we really got to do this.
Whoa.
So he came with that feature.
Whoa. Yeah. What was that like? Because he's one of my favorite MCs.
Oh, man, that was like, first of all, you had to have a lot of patience. That's the first thing. But when I got it back and just what he was saying, and I mean, it was like, man, I almost wanted to give him his own song.
Sure.
I was going to separate it and just put it as its own piece, you know, because I had produced that beat anyway. So I'm like, at least I made the beat, you know.
Yeah.
And then it was just going to be him alone. Yeah. But I was like, I found a way to put it in.
I mean, he talks about spiritual, philosophical stuff like nobody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you took my mind on a journey in 16. I love you.
Yeah. He's great. He's great for that. Very descriptive, but you definitely need like a dictionary and everything when you're like trying to understand.
And
Google too.
Definitely Google. Exhibit C is one of my favorite records of all time.
Yeah, that's how I first heard about him.
It's just a memoir, right? From and you know, and I'm like, the way that his life expands as the story goes on, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's the GOAT, man, and that's why being able to get that feature for me was an extremely big blessing, and that's why I don't like hesitate to try to get features from people, because some of the hardest artists to reach for some reason rock with me. I have a similar story with Andre 3000, where it's like I met him at a dinner, and he came up to me and was like, "Hey man, you know, I got my ear to the streets. I know about what you got going on. I like what you're doing. I would love to get in the studio with you sometime. I swear to God."
Shut up.
And I just was like, yo, I remember looking at him like, yeah, I mean, shoot, like, yo, what's your number? And in my mind, I was like, what the fuck? Andre 3000 doesn't have a phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would I ask him such a stupid question? And then he took my phone and put his number in. He actually put the number in wrong at first, looked at it, backed it up, changed it, and then put it in. And now I was texting him. And I just remember he was like texting me back. It was like a whole thing. And then he just disappeared. Yeah.
Yo,
So
I hung
crazy.
out with him once. I hung out a couple times, but I was doing a story on them for Rolling Stone. And I'm straight meat eater.
Yeah.
Every meal.
Yeah,
Chicken,
yeah.
steak, burger, whatever.
Yeah.
brother takes me to this vegan restaurant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't see anything on the menu I like. But I'm the journalist. I got to be cool. I can't be like, I don't like the menu. Like, that's like, sure, I'll have some potato scallions or whatever. Like, just try to play it off. Like, no, this is fine. Fucking salad. He was happy.
Yeah.
So wait, who else have you linked with, gotten close to, but it didn't quite work out?
Tyler, the creator, was supposed to do a verse for me on a song called Porno that I have on my album, Is He Real? This is fresh off of like Igor. So it just came out. He's the hottest shit ever. And he's like, yeah, I'll pull up to your house at 9 in the morning. And he comes in a McLaren.
To your house?
Yeah. Pulls up and listens to my entire, it wasn't out at the time, entire album, top to bottom. It's like, yo,
in the house or in the car?
In the house.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, I'm really excited for this. I gotta get on this. And then he looks at his phone. He's like, oh shit, we just announced Flogno. And then like, so everything's blowing up on his phone. And he's got on a couple calls and he stayed there for like 2-3 hours. And then he just kept like trying to get the verse done, get it done, but he's doing all of this stuff. And I know what's going on, what was going on, especially now, because I'm dealing with that now, where I'm like, I really want to do something for somebody, but finding the time's not easy. So I understood that. But yeah, he was supposed to do something for me for that album. So maybe in the future, I'm sure we'll figure something out.
You talk to Jay about getting on a song?
That was actually somebody who I really wanted to get on this album. Color. I was talking to Lenny and Guru, and they all felt the idea. I just, timing wise, I don't think we were able to connect. So, but I was like, I felt like if he heard the song, he would have done it.
I mean, it seems like these connections you're making with the other rappers, it's not you like, hey, get on my song.
Yeah.
It's there's more vibe, there's more relationship, right? Like we gotta kind of know each other
always, and
then we can talk about that other thing.
Yeah, I think that's how you always have to do it. You never want to make art transactional. You want to try to make it as organic as possible. And to be honest, I just let the music speak. You know, I like, even with Hove, it wasn't necessarily like, hey, do this song. It was like, hey, I think you should listen to it, and if you feel it, I would love for you to do it. And I believe if he heard that song in that moment, he probably would have done it.
So wait,
if he had the time.
Yeah. So do you end up paying for features, or is it a trade situation?
Most of the time, it's really just a trade situation. One thing I'll say is a lot of the older artists sometimes, you know, want to get paid and things like that, which we understand. Like I remember I worked with Slick Rick. He did that obviously because he wanted to work with me, and it was dope and it made sense, you know. But a lot of the older artists tend to maybe just want the fee because I'm on a record label, so they're not looking at it like it's your money out of your pocket. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I would try to get.
I mean, I think fans don't necessarily know some of those features are paid for, but some of them are, I like you.
Yeah.
I'll jump on your record. Someday you jump on mine.
Right. But it's not so much like, hey, I got this money, get on this song. I don't really operate like that.
Right.
It's like, yo, I got this song. What do you think about it? And then you may get a bill later.
So
maybe.
So you're presenting an opportunity. You may or may not, right? Like I want you, right? Yeah. Come rock with me, and they might do it, and then you might get a bill, you might not.
Yeah, maybe it just depends. And sometimes maybe the bill is not even them; it's their manager or somebody, or the label might even try to charge you. It's not always them, you know what I mean? So
right.
It just depends. Yeah, but we've gotten some crazy stuff for nothing. So. You know, it's a good trade-off.
What's the craziest one?
In terms of like what it did for me,
yeah.
Offset, you know, he came to the studio, we did a song, and it was like on the radio. It did really well for me, and then it kind of took my streaming to a whole nother level. Shout out to him for that. He's like, I'm not charging you nothing, man. Like,
Offset, more than anybody else you've talked about, changed your trajectory.
At that time, yeah, because he brought a completely new audience and put me in a whole new bracket of like streaming and things like that. So for sure, shout out to him.
Benny the Butcher is on this record.
Yeah.
And he's another killer MC.
Yeah.
How'd that come about?
DM. No. This is actually, I make a joke, but this was the first feature the record label ever got me.
Oh, shit.
It was like, I played the album. He's like, yo, I hear Benny on this. I'm like, actually, I kind of hear that too. And then literally, he's like, send me the song. And then like 3 weeks later, the verse came in. And then I connected with Benny. I was like, yo, you killed it. He's like, yo, man, appreciate it, man. Let's link up, da-da-da. And then we built a relationship from there.
Amazing. So, amazing. Okay, so that came backwards to the other ones.
Yeah, that never happens like that, ever.
Right. So wait, when you get a verse back from Benny, an MC of that caliber, do you go, yeah, I should redo my verse?
Nope. I don't do that.
Is that whack? Is that not supposed to be done?
Like a lot of people are really competitive. So I mean, I guess I'm not competitive like that. I'm not in competition with other people. I'm in competition with myself.
Of course.
So when it comes to that, changing my verse, not really.
But there's been songs, you don't have to compete with that, man. But like, damn, he kind of took it to a level that I was going at it a different way. Maybe I need to, change my shit.
I don't think that ever happens. The way I look at rap.
For you.
Yeah, I think
it happens for other people.
Maybe, yeah. I think the way that I look at rap is, it's about how well did you do you. So it's not really about the bars and all that like that, man. Like we make it about that, but it's really about how well did you do you. Did you really? Because there was a verse where I think I blacked on the verse, and then Pusha T got on it. He said a couple good lines. Don't get it twisted. But the way he raps, how he says it, that voice we so used to, that we love, that's really what made it like, he killed that beat.
I mean, I feel you in that if you or somebody does a verse that I'm like, nobody else could do that. Only 3,000 would say that. Only Nas would say that. Whatever, like, then I'm like, wow, like that's like, it would sound, if some of these AIs, I'm like, it doesn't sound right. Coming out, right? Somebody did, I believe it was Niggas in Paris, but it was Big and Pac instead of Jay and Kanye.
Wow.
Right? And the Big verse, I was like, he's doing a Jay verse, like I could hear him saying those things. But Pac would never say what Kanye would say. And vice versa. So I'm like, this doesn't even sound right. Pac don't think like that. He don't talk like that.
Right.
But I know them well enough to know this is who you are. That's who you are. Right. So then you're like, you did you to the most of you. That's the shit.
Exactly. Because people know your story. People know what you've been building, what you've been showing them. So it's about doing you. And I always try to refer. I don't know, man. To be honest, I don't think when I make music, bro. I just do that shit. Like, I just kind of like, I get on a mic and I do it and it just all makes sense.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's really like that. Like you, and then I have like some really crazy triple entendre like things that I say where I surprise myself and I'm like, damn, I didn't even know my mind thinks like, I didn't even know I knew that word.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Obviously, we were just talking about porno. And when I said the line, when I said, what did I say? I said, hold on. Sorry, let me get to the line. It's funny, I know the song from top to bottom, but to get in the middle of it, it's like different. Hold on.
That's funny.
She yellow and her head on point. It's like her brother's Bart. Simpson, no OJ. It ain't fit, so she must have quit. Took my Johnny Cochran out and sit it on her pretty lips. Like, it was like... it was like head on point, because Bart Simpson's sister.
Yeah.
She yellow and her head on point. It's like her brother's Bart. Simpson, no OJ. It ain't fit, so she must have quit. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Wait, you seem to know like all the MCs. Who's the most fun? Like who, if your phone rings, yo, I'm in your city. Let's hang out tonight. Who would you be? Yo, tonight's gonna be crazy because so-and-so is fucking nuts.
It's not even a rapper. Fucking David Chappelle.
What's that like?
Yo, one time I was in my house and I was with a girl.
Where you live?
Sherman Oaks, California.
Okay.
I was in my house. I was with this girl, and we were watching one of his stand-up specials, and she said something about a white comedian, but she couldn't. We were like talking about Louis C.K., but she thought Louis C.K. was a different person. So she was like, "Who's the guy that I'm thinking of?" So she typed in white comedians, and #1 was Dave Chappelle on Google. So I was like, "Screenshot that to me," and I screenshotted it to him, and I sent it to him. And he was like, "Wow, that's odd, LOL." And then he said, "By the way, at Peppermint Club tonight, pull up." And I pulled up. I didn't even know he was in town. I just like, all right, fuck it, get ready, pull up. It's like Justin Bieber's there. I'm seeing like Larry Jackson from Apple is there. It was like it was one of these things where it's like a packed small room, and then he just starts improvising and doing knock jokes for like 20 minutes. Yeah, and they're all funny. Yeah. And it was just like to be able to do that with him, you know, is great. We went to Paris one time. I'm sitting at the table. It's me, him, Chris Rock, Talib Kweli, and he's just, you know, turning up, drinking a little bit, saying jokes, and it's like, all right, well, let's go to this place. All right, let's go to this place. And it's like 3 back-to-back shows every night. It's like families there, friends. I mean, then a party after at the hotel. Like, I mean, like the guy has fun.
The guy's nuts.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle, man, that's the most fun person to be around. Because then also he's saying jokes the whole time.
Saying jokes. But his jokes are, I mean, he can do silly stuff. Yeah. And he loves a fart
Layered.
joke. But he does a lot of deep
he's
shit.
Like me, but as a comedian.
What do you mean?
If you listen from the surface level, you can enjoy it. If you try to listen deeper, you'll realize there's so much more, and you'll enjoy it even more. And you'll enjoy and respect his art. That's why me and him connect. I always tell him that. He forces dialogue. That's what I do.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to say something, to force dialogue. People don't realize the dialogue he forces can fix the problem. People are so surface level, like angry on the surface of what was said, but don't realize this guy's a genius and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So that's why I love his art so much. You know, I making this album, I wanted him to be a part of this. We're actually going to do something really soon, but I wanted him to be a part of this because he's doing what I do in the form of comedy.
What is that you want to do with him?
I don't know when this is coming out, but he's throwing me a birthday party.
Oh shit! Where? Can I come?
In LA. Really pull up. Yeah.
Don't tell me twice, because I'll get on a plane. Fucking Chappelle party? You kidding?
Yeah,
shit. Tell me when and where right now on the air.
No. I can't do that.
So lastly, you're a planner. You're a life planner, right? It's interesting that you plan your life, but you don't plan your rhymes. But what is the next stage, and what do you do to continue to level up from where you are?
The next thing I'm doing is going to be really important. I've done it already, but I'm going to take it to another level. Is I teach a music business course at Harvard. Yeah. And this year we're partnering with the Hutchins Center at Harvard, the Center of African American Art, and basically we're putting all of that together to then have one big gigantic party where a lot of people of color will be at Harvard in order to show people that we belong in spaces like that too.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Hell yeah. You talked to Marcy Morgan at Harvard?
No, Marcy.
She's the
that's the new president?
No, she's the hip hop professor. And she has a hip hop museum
The Hip Hop Archive.
Yes.
We're working with them.
With stuff from Japan.
Oh, Professor Morgan.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
When you say Marcy, I'm like, she's a part of what I'm doing.
Marcelina Morgan.
Yes, Professor Morgan. Yeah.
Yes, no, I love that. I love
She's amazing.
So wait, so per the notion of teaching music business, and maybe you can use this in your class, because I want to hear about the bidding war that happened after Izzy Real.
Yeah, before Izzy. Well, I finished making it.
You finished before you released.
Yes,
but you finished it. So the world is here. The industry is hearing it, and who was in it? This war.
That was basically so to just kind of give you context. I was I had just came off of like a few labels wanting to sign me, one being Good Music, one being like RCA, a few others. But they were very normal deals, regular, standard, early artist deals.
Which gets you what advance?
Like 150,000, something like that.
7 albums, 150,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Normal
6
shit.
albums, something like that. Maybe 5, but
okay.
Yeah, but whatever it was, that was around the number that it looked like. And what we did with that was we went ahead and didn't do any deals. I didn't feel right. It didn't sit right with me. And then I was talking to Top at TDE at the time, and Top gave me the idea of, hey man, just finish your album. You got a little bit of money, just finish your album and then go to the labels. Don't go to the labels now. You can do it yourself. And I thought about it, I'm like, okay, cool. So I kind of took the chronic Dr. Dre approach. I came to the labels with a finished album, and everyone was looking at it like, okay, cool. Like it was like I wouldn't take a meeting unless you'd listen to the full album. So it started with Atlantic Records, and I played it for them all the way through, and they were like, this is amazing. And I think 2 days later, there was an offer on the table.
What'd they throw at you?
I normally don't talk about numbers, but that one was like 500,000.
Okay.
Advance.
Okay.
So in pocket advance.
Okay.
And I was like, wow. The overall deal might have been 3 million, something like that.
Okay.
But pocket it was 500,000, and I never seen $500,000 in my face like to have ever.
Right.
So that was the first time I ever saw that potentially being in my bank account. And then I was like, you know what? Before I do anything, let's play it for a couple more labels. And it became a thing of playing it for the labels, and every time there would be an offer.
Who else made an offer?
It was obviously Warner, who I'm with now. It was Epic, Sylvia
Rohn.
I think she threw like 900,000 or something like that.
Okay.
It just kept getting crazier and crazier, and there was just so much hype around this album because everyone was like, people aren't making albums anymore, and we really want to be a part of this journey. But I went with Warner because one, I knew people over there already. I'd worked with them previously.
Peter Edge?
No, that's RCA.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Right.
This was Aaron Bayshuk, Tom Corson, Brock at the time was there, and he's who signed me. And then Aisha White, my publicist, I knew her from working with her when she was independent.
Did Warner give you a bigger than Sylvia?
Overall, yeah, the deal was all the way through just better.
Is it a 360 deal?
No, this was basically a deal where I gave them my first album and it was licensed. So I think, Sylvia's deal was a licensed deal too. I don't remember exactly all the details that were different. I just remember the main reason was less about the numbers and more about the fact that I knew people at Warner. I had met with them 3 times already, and they came in kind of late. So Epic came in like at the end, and I'm literally like, I like this group. I know them at Warner. Feel good. Comfortable with them. Yeah. You know, and they were a newer company, new regime, all that stuff.
So wait, so when you get the mill or whatever in your bank account, what did you buy? I know you went and bought some fuck off thing.
I had before the money actually hit my account, I think I only had left in my account like $20,000 or $15,000, and I spent 3/4 of that on a Rolex watch that I gave to my friend who'd been like working with me. So I was like, I hope this money hits because I ain't got no more money left.
But what did you buy for yourself?
What did I buy? Fuck. I feel like I invested it in shit like merch and shit like that and more studio equipment. And
okay.
Did I buy anything big? I bought a one-of-one Mad Paris. I don't have it right now. Mad Paris watch. That wasn't that expensive. It was like $25.
But you put most of it into, here's my T-shirts.
Yeah.
Studio in the house?
I already had the studio. So, I mean, maybe bought a few more things for sure. Man, taxes took a lot of it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Taxes, manager,
I don't think I
lawyer.
spent that much of it, man, to be honest. I spent it over time.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm always like a person, like, this is the thing, I don't like carry a lot of liquid cash because it's like I don't have kids. I'm down to take risks. I just buy assets. And I never have money, like liquid cash.
Wait,
very
what
little.
assets do you like?
Real estate. I have like 3 properties now.
In Cali?
2 in Cali, 1 in on the East Coast in DC area.
You're a landlord or is Airbnb?
One is I'm a landlord. I did Airbnb, but the HOA was complaining, so I had to stop. I was making so much money, man. I was killing that
on the
shit.
Airbnb.
Woo! And then I could come back whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
Like,
was that in Cali?
No, that was in LA, DC area. Yeah. I got like 5 acres of land in Joshua Tree. I want to build something there. I got that early. I got it when it was 5 acres. Cost me with electric and water nearby $30,000.
Shut up!
I swear to God. But now it's ridiculous. It don't like I get calls like every week trying to buy it, developers and stuff like that.
You just trying to hold it?
I want to build on it because it's like a cat. Like it's like automatically just by building on it, I'm good.
Right. Right.
The land itself is, it's popping out there.
So is real estate your #1 thing outside of music?
No, probably not. I consulted for Credit Karma. That was a really big deal.
What did you tell Credit Karma?
I gave them financial advice.
How could you give credit?
Not really, not literally, but I gave them advice on how to reach, Gen Z
marketing
and market, and I did a campaign for them and some content that I created and produced, and that bought me my second house.
Hell yeah!
Shout out to Credit Karma, they're amazing.
Hell yeah! No, I'm dying to get into real estate, and I'm working on that this year, and I've been working on it. So it's interesting to me, what you're talking about, Joshua Tree. They say like this is a very hot area to buy in.
I told everybody that I told you guys, bring that money. This is the place to do it. You know who listened to me though? Few people. PNB Rock, rest in peace. He bought the lot next to mine.
Wow.
DJ Trauma, who works with Dave Chappelle, he bought some land through, I think, my real estate agent. And a couple people said they were going to do it, but they didn't do it. But man, it was a great investment.
And there's a lot of people weighing out like, do I go Airbnb, which has its own, versus just being a landlord with renters? Yeah,
man, Airbnb's better. I mean,
why?
Make more money. You just get a company to manage it, and you manage the management company. Don't got to deal with all the little things. You just got to pay for shit.
Well, why do you prefer Airbnb to?
It's the difference of making $8,000 to $10,000 a month versus $3,000 or whatever the market is.
Yeah,
because my house in DC is considered a luxury rental, so you can charge more per day than you would make renting it out in the market. Because the furniture, the way that I designed it, all of that stuff brought the value on Airbnb up. It's not the same as just renting it because it's not about the furniture; it's about location.
Interesting.
So you can factor in more things with Airbnb.
Interesting. Yeah, you got a lot going on. I appreciate it. I respect it. I love talking to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Appreciate it.